advertise all this death and dehumanization as if it's good.
The theory is that very low or trace amounts of lithium enhance connectivity between neurons. And doing that over the course of a lifetime exposure, makes the brain more healthy.
Now I want to talk to the social engineers whose religion is a control freak system of dehumanization. You are like cancer. You're racing through the body politic. You think you're invincible. And you may kill the host. You may destroy our species, but not without a fight. You are disgusting, wicked people who love ruling over others. Everything you do creates death and destruction in its path. You sold Prozac as a way to stop depression when in your own trials you knew it massively increased suicide. Now you're telling us how great lithium, a toxic metal, an antipsychotic is going to be put in the water, mandatory. And we've got the studies. It's already in most of the water supplies. We know you're adding it. You are sickening, disgusting filth. The info war continues. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Devastating globalist lies, exposing the mainstream media's propaganda machine, tirelessly waging war on corruption, from deep in the heart of FEMA Region 6 in Austin, Texas, transmitting worldwide, it's Alex Jones. If you are receiving this transmission, you are the resistance.
Thanks for riding shotgun with us today as we look back over the last few years at some of the most hard-hitting media reports we've put out, some of the most hardcore information. We're going to finish up with a special report looking at the brain-eating vaccines, which is a headline to basically capture folks' attention because that's what these vaccines do, is they go in and kill brain tissue. But at the end of the day, what they're really doing is re-engineering the brain. And these are really biological mutation weapons that they call vaccines. And all it is really something they inject into your body to re-engineer your brain. And personally, I'm very upset by it because Bill Gates and others are talking about how, we're just going to release mosquitoes that when they suck your blood, basically give you this virus. And we're just going to engineer it into the squash, into the tomatoes, so there's no escape from their New World Order. That's one reason they're so arrogant. So here's the conclusion of the brain-eating vaccines. And we're going to rally the world population against you, and we're going to bring you to justice. And I pray, God, that humanity makes it through what you've attempted to do, how you've saddled up next to us like a spider in the dark and tried to spin your webs of control around us while we were asleep. But the sleeping giant that is humanity is waking up to who you are and what you are. And I pray to the creator of the universe, and I beg for just the average person out there as well to research just who you are and how you're involved in a scorched earth takeover of society to secure your ill-gotten gains. And I want you to know that I'm going to do everything I can to rally free humanity against you, and that we are going to defeat you. But whether we win or not, whether you lose or fail, at least we were real humans. We were good, decent people that saw the truth, and we stood up against you. And no matter what happens in this, you are still degenerate, dehumanizing filth. You are aberrant, malfunctioning trash. And you look at everything good and wholesome and tell us that we are malfunctioning. So I pray that you be defeated. But either way, in this time and space, on this planet, good people stood up against what you are and did everything they could to help the innocents. When I look at all the children that you've brain damaged and all the children dying of cancer, and I look at all the things that you've done to humanity, it makes me want to vomit. You are doing this because this is only the next wave to first neutralize us so we're calm and sedate and can't resist, so you can roll in with the hard kill weapons. I know that. And I want to tell you something else. A lot of you that think that you're part of the winning team, you're going to find out that your masters hate you more than they even hate free humanity, because they know that you know where the bodies are buried, and they know you're a bunch of wicked control freaks that they need to kill first once they take over, or you'll start trying to overthrow them. They understand your nature. They use their propaganda to manipulate good men throughout history to serve their evil aims. So understand this. You're going to fail one way or another. You've decided to put your soul on the side of darkness for all eternity for what you're doing to humanity and butchering our DNA. and literally mutating the human spirit in your control freak lust for power. And so all of you, one way or another, will fail. So all that matters is, in this time and space, I stood up for what's right. I saw you clearly for what you are. And I know in my heart there's a very good chance we're going to beat you. But that's up to all the people out there watching this. Do they have the courage to face the facts? Do they have the courage to take action?
If you feel you are not properly sedated, call 348-844 immediately. Failure to do so may result in prosecution for criminal drug evasion.
When your country is being turned into a 21st century banana republic police state, silence isn't golden, it's yellow. You are listening to Alex Jones broadcasting live from the front lines. If you are receiving this transmission, you are the resistance.
Under heel. We're already training them with constant brainwashing and calls to worship Britannia and to hate our ancestral enemies, the Frenchies. Oh, the French. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we are back live. And now, for all of you Anglophiles out there, prepare for the pain. You don't want us to criticize that Queen Elizabeth II plate you have hanging on your kitchen wall? Well, you're not going to like this. No, seriously, I have some great British crew members, and of course, I'm Welsh partly myself, obviously the last name Jones. The British people are great folks, the Irish, the Scots, the Emerald Isles are wonderful and have such great history. But the criminal elites that dominate England are at the heart of the eugenics world government system that we face today. And that's why I love to rip on the British royal family. I love to go after the aristocracy because I'm a right-wing extremist. I mean, I'm kind of like a terrorist, I guess, at the end of the day, because I like George Washington. I don't worship the British monarchy. And so the next few segments are collection of pieces of when I've been on British radio and was particularly wound up, and also when I made fun of the royal wedding and a few other little succulent tidbits when I go after really the heart of corruption, what is the British monarchy.
And Alex, if it's all right with you, I want to get into the Obama birth certificate in a second, but let's just take a couple of calls here. Pervez is in Rochdale. Pervez, what do you want to say?
Hi, good evening.
Good evening, sir.
I'm so proud of Alex. The gentleman speaks so loudly and he speaks so truthfully.
Go on.
I was coming back I'm from Kenya originally, and I came to England as a 12-year-old child. Mm-hmm. And I was in the British Territorial Army, and my younger brother was in Royal Air Force for 7.5 years, a nautical engineer. So we have played the part with the forces. And I was in Kenya, coming back from Kenya in 1999. I met another Asian gentleman who was flying out to Uzbekistan. And we were just two people sitting at the airport in reception having a chat. And I asked him where he was off to, and he said, I'm going to Uzbekistan. I said, why? He said, because they found oil, and I'm an engineer, I dig oil. And he told me that 3 countries have found oil, and the oil pipeline was supposed to go through Afghanistan into Karachi in Pakistan. This conspiracy 9/11 it's totally planned to stop the pipeline going into those 2 countries.
Well, you don't know that. You're just guessing.
No, I'm telling you the truth.
Hang on, you're telling me that Rochdale are announcing the official version this evening?
Yep.
Well, let me comment on this. Let me comment on this.
Go on, Alex.
Actually, it was a trifecta of issues. And we actually have the now 2 books written by Zbigniew Brzezinski, who was the architect of the original Afghan war against the Soviets. He really kicked it off with the planning in 79, 80. He's written 2 books specifically on the subject. He wrote one in 97 called The Grand Chessboard, and he basically said you cannot allow the stands to bring their oil out to the sea, and you've got to take over Pakistan and Afghanistan, or at least destabilize them and have an excuse to get U.S. troops in there, or the Chinese are going to dominate the region and get the fuel and energy supplies that they need. So the trifecta is this. In Afghanistan alone, not mentioning the other 7 stands around it, in 2000 numbers, this was released by the World Bank, there's 4 trillion. That number's a lot higher now because prices have gone up, in discovered oil fields, oil supplies. 4 trillion conservatively in U.S. dollars. And that was back then. Obviously, they're devalued now, so it's more. Also, there's $500 billion a year in opium, 93% of opium production for heroin. The precursor to heroin comes out of there. Only 10% came out until the liberation. And I have Fox News where they admit the U.S. troops and British troops helped grow the opium and supply them the fertilizer that shipped into our country. And if you're doubting me, just type Geraldo Rivera, U.S. Marines helping grow opium, and then they now just admit it.
The fact that here you have one of the best fighting forces in the world ever mounted, and in a sense you're watching as this opium is being grown. I know it grinds at your gut. How do you deal with it? What are you doing about it?
Well, frankly, this is a part of their culture. So while it might grind in my gut, it's what they do.
I also heard BBC once on the radio on my XM admit it. They're now just throwing it in our face like we're dumb. Oh, by the way, we're growing it, but we're fighting drugs. So if we catch you with it, you're going to prison. But side issue, they got to keep the drugs illegal to keep the price up. So it's about the 500...
Let me just come in there. Isn't that also about the fact that the opium has been, rightly or wrongly, the only crop in that region for people to make a living?
Is that why production went up?
The Allies are kind of stuck. What do they do here? Are they meant to be starving out the entire place? They're not there as a police force for the average law-abiding Afghani. They are there for other reasons. What do they do?
The Northern Alliance...
The Northern hard place.
Mohammed Karzai's brother is the largest narcotics trafficker. That's New York Times. The Northern Alliance were the people that controlled the opium before. The real Taliban, the real Muslim people that were running it, shut down almost all opium production. The West went in, took it over to shut down the pipeline of Unocal being built, and they went in to get control of the $500 billion a year, and production went up 13-fold. It's now 93% of world production, and they give them the fertilizer and guard it, and then it's loaded on aircraft and flown into Europe, Russia, and the United States and the rest of the world. The only opium dealers and heroin dealers that are busted are people buying it from Southeast Asian Golden Triangle suppliers, now not controlled by the Anglo-American power axis. The British Empire financed itself in 16 and 1700 with the opium.
Long while ago. Well, let's listen. We'll take another call here. Thank you, Pervez. This is Elizabeth in Lincolnshire.
It's about menacing China, controlling the area. It's about drug money, and it's about the oil. There's the trifecta. Sorry, go ahead, ma'am.
Okay, Elizabeth.
Oh, hello.
Hi.
I was just wanted to ask, Alex, I know it sounds a silly question, really, but I've looked a little bit at the subject of sex trafficking. And
UN run.
Well, that's what I was going to say, because just recently there was a lady who happened to be an American soldier, and she worked for the UN, and she stumbled across something, and she was saying that actually the UN are behind the sex trafficking. And I thought, the more I've looked at it, it sounds ridiculous.
Oh, yeah, that's, no. That's like stumbling. No, that's like stumbling over. That's like.
Come on, Alex, that's a story.
That's like stumbling over the ground. Okay, I will bet you £1 million, I'm not playing, right now, that the UN has been caught in more than 10 countries running giant child kidnapping rings.
So the United Nations, an official or a secret dictat from the UN somewhere is, or not maybe people...
No, they officially... No, the UN officially runs giant air...
Why would they be doing that?
That's why they go into third world countries, Eastern Europe, Africa, Latin America, is to harvest slaves for the giant slave. They have slave ships. They have slave sex ships. That's Associated Press.
They have where do these slaves go to, Alex?
They go to Saudi Arabia, Israel, Thailand, and other areas. There's also floating sex slave ships that have been reported on by the Associated Press. Houston Chronicle reported on it. Chicago Tribune. Look, you think I'm joking? Listen, just Google UN white slavery. They've